Sometimes, to move forward, we must revisit the past. Over 30 years ago, it all began, a simple hobby evolving into a lifelong obsession with carp. Now I find myself returning to where it all started. Time slips away, and neither man nor carp can halt its relentless pace. This is the tale of the ski lake.
Is called Aquatels, and the history of it is in the 80s it was stocked with carp. It was dug to be a drainage ditch for the whole of Basildon town in Essex, and it's about 25 acres. It was stocked with carp and it was quite popular back then. You used to get a lot of guys travelling from all around the country to fish it because it had 20 pounders in it. But to me and my friends it was way out of our skill set. It was 25 acres, normally choked with weed. So the only time we'd go up there was in the close season to feed the fish. And it probably took me a few years to get the courage to go up there and fish for these carp. The first year I went up there was 1987. Having spent the whole close season feeding these carp goat cat and seeing 20 pounders take it, I was buzzing. I thought, I'm just going to turn up June the 20th, flick a load of goat cat out and I'll catch a 20 pounder straight away. But like carp are, come June the 16th when the season opened, no one saw a fish anywhere. So I spent the whole day on the 20th firing this go-cat out to, nothing was going to happen. I was just on the verge of giving up when I heard this sucking noise in the weed. I've looked down and there's a nose coming through the weed. I quickly squeezed a bit of bread around a size 6 super specialist, lowered it in on the nose, and it come up and took it straight away. There was a big explosion as I struck the rod and it stripped about 30 yards of line off me. Definitely the most powerfulest fish I'd hooked at the time. And he's up wading out and netting a big ball of weed. And in that ball of weed was my first 20 pounder, 21 pound mirror. And my love affair with this lake began. Well, over the next few years I spent as much of my spare time as I could fishing aquatels, and eventually managed to catch a fish known as the pig, which was a lovely little Italian mirror of 23 pound and the biggest carp in the lake at the time. And I remember catching that and being absolutely over the moon. Again, off the surface. I used to love a bit of stalking, and was totally obsessed with carp fishing by this point. I'm in my late teens. It was around this time I started fishing with Mark Rush, who's one of my best mates, and me and Mark teamed up the next season, rolling bait continuously in his mum's kitchen and getting told off for it, and pre-baiting the lake. And over the next 2 seasons we pretty much caught 95% of what swam in that lake and loved everything about it. It was around this time that a local shop managed to get a pool on the side of the lake, and they isolated it. It was about 2 acres and they stocked about 1,000 ghost carp in there, and they obviously had spring varema on them, and it caused a catastrophic fish kill, which was a nightmare for us because we'd lost our fishing overnight and we was pulling out these carp that we'd just spent the last few years catching and loving, and burying them because they were just dying. There was quite a few survivors. At the time we was convinced that it had killed everything, but there was still quite a few fish that were left over. But between Mark and me and a few of the local lads, we went to the lakes in the area that you couldn't fish, and we restocked the lake with about another 100 fish. And over the years, they've come to grow quite big. Now, it's had a few owners. There was one guy called Tony Prowl, lovely fella. He took over it and run it really well for a few years, and ended up buying 65 AJS fish that were a mix between the Orchard and Horseshoe strain. Absolutely beautiful carp. Unfortunately, Tony ended up dying of a heart attack. Really nice fella. I was gutted when he died. And the lake sort of went not to rack and ruin, but it was just left to the water sports again, because there's always been water sports on there of some sort, whether it be windsurfing, power boats, jet skiing. There's always been something. But these days you've got wakeboards. Now, a guy that runs it now, his name's Barry, lovely fella. He calls it Len's Pool. He started running it. And I started noticing, this is now 35 years on from when everything happened. I've gone off and fished all round the world, all round England, and I started to see a few pictures of the fish in the lake. There was one particular fish, a mirror, typical old school looking, rounded off fins, hardly any scales on it, big plain flanks, really lovely carp, and I wanted to catch it. I knew somewhere it would be in a shoebox in my old albums. I would have definitely caught it, and eventually I did find it at £8, but I wanted to go back and try and catch this fish. Now, to catch a 40 pounder out of the area that I grew up in, where there was never a 40 pounder, would be something, you know. So I asked Barry for a ticket, and it took about 3 years to get one, because there's only 35 members. You can't fish normal hours, so basically Monday and Tuesday are a maintenance day on the lake for the ski line, so they look after all the lake and the jumps. So they were the only days you could fish. Other than that, you can set up when the skis come off, which is normally around 8 o'clock at night, and you've got to be off by 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. So fishing between the skis could be quite difficult, and I think this put a lot of local anglers off. So this year, when I was finally offered the ticket, I took it with both hands. So let's look at what happened on my first session. Well, first take on the ski lake, first day, 33 pound mirror and an absolute corker. What a start. Didn't expect to get off the ground this quick, but thank you very much. This is why I came back to the ski lake, because some of them old carp that were here when I was a teenager, they're still here, and here's one of them. I'm 50 this year. The last time I saw this carp, I think I was about 21 years old. What a lovely old relic. Tiny little melted fins, 32 pounds. Been here absolutely years. Well chuffed. Thank you, darling. Now, what I should tell you about the lake is it isn't a normal fishing situation. When you've got wakeboards, you've got a wire that pulls the wakeboards around the lake, and this wire at Aquatails is running right the way around the whole lake, 18 to 20 foot off the water. There's no casting whatsoever. If you cast out and you go over these lines, you could actually ruin the whole fishing syndicate. So anything under the line would have to be done by a bait boat. But if you was fishing the margins, then obviously you could underarm cast or cast short. But going over the lines was probably an instant ban to the lake, so you had to have a bait boat with you at all times. Now, I don't really love or hate bait boats. I think they're good in the situations that you have to use them, and this is a situation that you definitely had to use a bait boat in. So on my first session, I'd caught the fish off a swim known as the Island, and it is what it says. It's an island with 2 walkways to it, so you have to literally barrow up onto the island and fish off of the island. It's an excellent swim that offers a load of water in front of it. It's got shallows, deep water, but the only problem with this, you have to book it, and with there only being fishing on a Monday and a Tuesday, you could often, you know, miss the booking for it. So I decided to target an area called the Back Strait. And now the Back Strait's got a lot of shallow water in front of it, probably 2.5 to 3 foot, hard clay areas. So what I was doing was fishing a uni lead clip, about 2.5 foot of rock bottom tubing, and then I was using a Ronnie rig with a soft boom. The soft boom again was the Camo X in 25, and the hooks were a size 4 medium curve because they're nice and big, and it tended to put off the bream and the tension, things like that. So I started to do really well off of this Back Strait, and over the course of the next 3 weeks I caught some absolutely stunning carp. So it's not a big one, but it is one of the originals, or one of the older fish in the lake. Weed hanging off of everything. There we go. And you can tell because there's no scales on them. There you go. Where are you? Come on, behave. There you go. Probably about 22, 23 pound. Old as eels. They're getting back. I've got to be off in a minute, so before I leave, get a little bit more bait in. Baiting under this arm, and I can actually cast to it. It's like 21 wraps, and you're fishing up the front side of here. Only problem is you do have to book the island swim, so you're not always guaranteed it. But everyone else tends to sort of fish out, so hopefully get left alone. There we go, chuck them out of the way.
Our mainline hybrid. I've been using this and the cell on here. Just out there. That's it, it's the one. And if I can keep that area fed, they'll keep coming back. Remember, you're feeding an enormous amount of bream and tench as well, so I'm probably using a little bit more bait over spots than I would normally. Just keep it going in all the way under that arm. Plenty of bait in there. Next week I'll come back in the week, probably doing 5 or 6 kilo on that spot a week. And you're only allowed boilies on here, which is a bit of a pain because I'd probably use something like tigers normally when there's a lot of bream and tench, because I struggle with them, but you can't use any particles on here. That should do me. There's the island swim. And to here's 20 odd wraps. That's the arm, baited up over there. They're already rolling on it. Mad. No one on this lake. It's like having a lake to yourself. Loads of fish out here in the eelgrass, just sitting around. I think it's 25, 26 fish now. I've had at least 5 of them originals now. I'll have to have a count up. Yeah, one's just boshed out over where I put the bait already. They are absolutely on it. No one's fishing here. Let's get a few people on a week. It's absolute paradise. Surely, sooner or later, I'm going to bump into the big mirror or the big common. See up front. Very nice. Just as pretty both sides, but I'm going to get it back and we'll have a look at the other one. Been baiting this spot for about 2 weeks. Come down today, lost one, had 3 in a day. It's absolutely kicking off. Absolute cracker. Well over 30 years old, this one. I remember him from back in the day. Somewhere I've got a photo of this one, and he's about £11. 29, absolutely spawned out, but I couldn't be happier. That's it. Come on, you. Give in. There's a bit of weed down there. Trying to keep him out of it. Micro barb hooks on. Oh, so much power. Come on, girl. Come on. It's gone off like a steam train. Oh, you're just nailed. Absolutely nailed. Size 4 medium curve. In you go. Look at that. What a carp. They don't come much better than that. Yes. Well, the maddest session ever is just continuing. I've just had this, just under £28. Well, I went to photograph it, the rod's gone. I've got a 30 in the net. It's been mental. Look at that. What an unbelievable session. I was only talking about this fish the other day with someone. I may have caught it, I can't remember, but my mate definitely caught it in 1989. And I remember seeing it in the water in 1985 by feeding the fish in the old close season. Because linears then weren't very common. And she's still going, she's only £18. Look at that. Come on. Yeah, come on. Let's have a look here. Over 40 years old, this fish. I'm so pleased with it. Let's get her back. Thank you, old friend. Well, let's talk about this session. I come down on the Sunday to pre-bait. Got here at 7 o'clock to beat the skiers, because you can't come on when they're there. Put a whole bucket of bait into a swim. Got down on the Monday, 10 o'clock. Got my first bite at 2 o'clock after putting another 4 kilo bait in. It's now the second morning at 28 fish. That ain't normal on here, and I don't feel pretty normal at the moment. I'm absolutely blown to bits, knackered. Rod's been going in the night, in the morning. I've had loads of upper 20s and about 630s, lost a good one. But it's the power of pre-baiting, it's unbelievable, isn't it? And I've got about 2 hours left. Just had another one about 28. Absolutely mental. So, just baiting up the spots. Fishing from the hotel bank today. Bring him in from the other side. So I've walked all the way around the lake, now baiting up off the walkway. I put a little bit of bait there. I've put more on the other side. The wind's blowing down the lake. That's where we fished last week, and we had the 29 fish. And it's now blowing down here, and they will be on this wind, I think. Heard there was not much out the weekend after that hit of fish, but you see there's a bit of weed around here. But just here I've marked it with a Red Bull can. I've just put a load of bait in along this slab. We're going to bait boat across underneath these wires up to here and drop it. There's plenty of bait in there, so yeah, let's see how we get on. I don't think there's anyone else on the whole lake. It's looking well good. So I'm out on this walkway with a life jacket. A bit more on there. Getting mooching up and down around these boards. Got one night, so we've got one night here. Let's see what happens. Cannot wait to get a rod in. Looking really good. This is where we put all the bait when it was shut along this board. Since then I've not had the weather conditions to fish down here. The wind's been going the other way, and they definitely like the wind on here, so it's been primed. Let's see what goes on. Back round to the swim now. That's the assault course. No one on there today, so you probably ain't seen the lake from this view. We're always looking down at it because it's rare we're going to get a straight north wind, so I just hope it pays off. Yeah, look, some Basildon chav's lost his cap. Nice corduroy cap, classy. We'll leave that there for him. Now I've got an 18mm boilie on there. I'll do that so I can change the hook, so I can simply slip that back. So it's an overhand knot on probably 12 inches of rock bottom brown, and I do an overhand knot, strip the coating away, and I can simply change the hook by slipping up the kicker, slipping it off, putting a new hook on, which I've just done. And I've got an 18mm boilie, and I've topped it with a tiger nut, which is a weird combination, but what that means is if an eel comes along and chews away the boilie, it won't like the tiger nut, so it leaves that sitting on the bottom, so at least I'm fishing. But yeah, cool. I'm gonna get this back out. rod's been out about half an hour and we've hooked one already. Really hairy moment when underneath the walkway that's all floating, and yeah, had to pull it back. It's a nice fish. Come on, keep coming. Here we go. Very shallow. Get in the net. Yes, in that net. Well, back down after last week's manic session, and had a nightmare today. Long story short, thought I charged a bait boat battery and I hadn't, and I'm fishing an area where you have to have a bait boat because of the cables. Got here at 10, started fishing at 2, and yeah, I think the rods were in the water about 35 minutes. It's gone off with this one. Nice big 20. Look at that, absolutely wicked carp. Totally spawned out. It's going down to 1 day a week fishing soon. The skis are out 6 days a week, so I might go somewhere else for a month and come back. It's a bit chillier. These are a bit fatter, but let's see what tonight brings. Got one night. Common known as shoulders. Second biggest common in the lake. And this carp has been around years. Late 70s, early 80s. Been swimming around in this lake. And yeah, wasn't on my target list. It's the forgotten child, this one. It's the middle sister. And don't know why it weren't. Look at it. Massive overslung mouth. Absolutely wicked carp. Over 40 years old. Tell you what a morning. What a morning.
What's there to hold in the light of this moon? My mind keeps searching, but my heart decides. Thoughts can be cruel, they're not mine to own. The space unravels when you let go. What's yours, it ain't mine. That energy goes today. The feather in the fire will blow it home your way. Moon mother, open your arms. Moon mother, this madness just begun. Moon mother, reach for my heart so I can feel your essence in me.
Well, caught this one after spawning, looking a bit shabby. So I thought we'd have a quick look at her. It's a double in. It's now a mid-30. Look at that fish. Daddy now, autumn colours in, wind and rain coming down the lake. Carp. Absolutely wicked fish. First met this fish when it was £7, then 26, then 32, and now I'm mid-30, and that spans over about 30 years. So let's get back. Beautiful carp. Mad looking carp. Look at that. Got flopped over tail, big overslung mouth, 32 pounds, and I thought I was going to lose it. It found a snag. I let the line loose, and after about 20 minutes it come out of it, so all was good in the end. I've had a 35-pound mirror as well. Still got the day till about 4 o'clock. It's 9 in the morning, rain, wind, so I'm going to get him back, hopefully get another. Just had this one, £31. Oh, look at that. Going back the other way. Very slippery this wood. Have to watch me step. Having to stamp on the net, stop it blowing away. Well, all good things come to an end, and that was the story of the ski lake. Retracing my steps from when I was a young teenager and coming back and hoping to catch some of the fish that still swam around in here, and I'm 50 years old. I didn't actually think there'd be as many left, especially like the little linear that I used to feed when I was a kid. In the close season it'd come up eating go-cat,